Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And I tell you guys I love you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I will ride with this group until they don't want to play more.
You held them to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end. But I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Yeah, all right. Sorry we're late. I saw some anxious people in the YouTube comment sections. We were a little backed up with our recording schedule because Patrick Royce was on a roll on Royce Unchained today. And another thing, by the way,
he's got that curveball and it goes. Wah!
It was kind of going instead of yeah. So, all right, welcome in. This is the second week in a row we've done our Purple Daily live stream on a Friday. We gave you a live stream last night, too, where we picked the Vikings schedule. So if you missed that, check it out on the Purple Daily podcast feed and or YouTube channel. But we're going to come on around, we should say 10 o'clock-ish Central Time. We'll try to get as close as we can to 10 o'clock, but thanks for hanging out with us here. If you're watching live, please click subscribe and the like button to help us grow this channel. And we'll also go live around 11 o'clock-ish Central Time on the Score North YouTube channel for Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd, Feedback Friday, every Friday. Gentlemen, this show is presented by our friends at TCL. They have award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, and home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. You can learn more at TCL.com. All right, the schedule is out. We've got all sorts of reactions to it. Like I said on the episode from last night, Judd spent his entire night, didn't even sleep, looking at the opposing quarterbacks the Vikings are scheduled to play in 2023.
A very interesting mix of greatness at times, of very solid at times, and for a few of them, just flat out potential ineptitude. So this is a very intriguing schedule, but yeah, I looked at, so it's 14. It's 14 because you obviously play your division foes in the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers twice each. Had to make some decisions as well because there's some difficult decisions to make as far as expectation. As you know, Jordan Love, don't know for sure. Justin Fields is going to be improved, we think, and some people think, man, he could be great. I don't think greatness is anointed. I think greatness is earned. So I'm not just going to say Justin Fields is going to be. I heard a conversation on one of the ESPN shows a couple days ago about the expectation from some that Fields might put up like an MVP worthy season. I'm not going there yet. I can't do that.
Okay.
Far too premature.
So you've ranked the 14 quarterbacks the Vikings are going to face, and have you put these in, like, are there tiers? Is it just a straight power ranking?
It's a straight power ranking, but what you're going to find is, as I do this, easily tiered off.
Oh, okay. We can make
so
our
like
own tiers afterwards.
We should acknowledge the tiers, maybe. But
the tiers are the tiers are going to hit you like a punch. It's going to be so blatantly obvious where that line gets drawn on each tier.
Like a drive off the tee.
Yeah, it's going to be simple, but in this case, I'm going to start at the top and go down because I think the bottom is where it gets to be more intriguing. I think the top is, I shouldn't say it's boring, but it's probably not surprising at all. And I don't know that the top is as debatable. It's debatable, but I don't know it's as debatable as it will be probably by the time we get to around 6, 7, or 8. All right.
Okay. Good, so here we go. This is Judd Zolgad's official opposing quarterback power rankings, or a pecking order, if you will.
Yes, it is.
Starting with Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. So the first two are simple, right? Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like, that's not hard.
I agree.
I feel like there's this idea, and those teams are going to be favored because, well, the Bengals game is in Cincinnati and Kansas City, I think. So DraftKings put out, just for the season, like for every week as of right now, who would be favored, and the Chiefs are favored in all 17 of the games on their schedule, including all of the 8 road games they play.
Wow.
But I do think the tendency when we look at these schedules is to say, well, those are losses for the Vikings. You got to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and then Joe Burrow and Cincinnati on the road. And I think all of us gave the Vikings a loss when we were going through our schedule yesterday. But those teams are going to lose games. I mean, the Bengals lost their first 2 games last year. The Vikings have a good team, especially the home game against the Chiefs. You're playing at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah.
So I think it's likely that they lose those games, but I'm not willing to just completely write the Vikings off against those 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Burrow, week 15 in December, he could be hurt. He might not even play in that game.
Is that a threat or a...
I'm just saying you can't look.
That
If you
sounded
look at
chilling.
he could be hurt.
Nancy
If you
Kerrigan?
look at what
Oh,
happened,
he could be in the ICU.
Stop whining and we'll explain to you. You just got galoolied, okay?
Who's that man with a ski mask and a surly hooded sweatshirt that just took a
Hello.
crowbar to Joe
That's
Burrow's knee?
Son of a bitch. All I'm saying is I agree completely with what you just said, but I think the top of this list is not difficult. Mahomes 1, Burrow 2.
And by the way, a commenter, Jeff, points out here, last year the Vikings were supposed to lose to Buffalo,
Yeah, Josh Allen, no question about it.
and they didn't.
And the Chargers hanged a banner on that with their little social media clap video on their schedule release. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
No,
That-
I
that-
watched the Vikings one and then I stopped.
Dude, there were some great ones.
The Titans one, I think, is the best. But Judd, the Chargers did, their animated schedule release, and there was a kind of a Vikings fan standing with JJ Bling on.
Yeah.
And in the corner, you had to kind of peek to see it, but there was banners hanging, and one of them was fun Week 8 game in Buffalo, Wolves playing champions, mentioned in a Lizzo song. Like they made banners.
The
for
banners,
Wolves.
because
we're getting trolled
some
by the
subtle shots,
Chargers.
yeah.
It was
Huh?
pretty good.
That
It
takes
was.
that takes a lot of guts for that team and franchise to troll our asses.
the Titans one is the best if you haven't seen it yet. In fact, let me pull something up here.
The Falcons changed their name.
I was just going to say that. The Falcons, if you're wondering why did the Falcons change their Twitter name today? So the Titans went, at some point, they went up and down Broadway in Nashville, and they just interviewed a bunch of drunk country music fans who don't know anything about football, and they showed them logos. They just show you the Colts logo, and it's a bunch of drunk girls oh, that's the Cowboys, the Cowboys. And then they put on the screen, the date of the game against the Cowboys with the Colts logo. And all this stuff. And someone identified the Falcons logo as the Atlanta Red Stallions.
Okay.
And so the Falcons then changed their name on Twitter to the Red Stallions.
Oh, good for them. So they're playing along. I love that. That's awesome.
Hilarious, dude. Hilarious. Okay, anyways. All right, so Patrick Mahomes 1, Joe Burrow 2.
Yep. So with 3 and 4, which are in the same bin, I tried to get a little bit more creative, and I said to myself once our show got done last night, I said, Judster, Sports Dad, how are you going to break up these next 2? Because they're, again, very, very close. And I decided I'd break them up by a little bit of where the Vikings are playing them and what their threat is to the Vikings, which is very close. But one guy is mobile enough and one guy's probably not. So I put Jalen Hurts 3, Justin Herbert 4.
Yeah.
Easily debatable. But I decided that Jalen Hurts, I think, in week 2 at Philadelphia in prime time with the legs being a threat. Herbert is here. So I'm not saying it's easy, but at least it's here. So Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts, and Herbert are that first bin of really top level quarterbacks you're going to face.
Yeah, what's funny about those 2 quarterbacks, and I do think I'm going to start drawing some tiers here. I think there's a line between 2 and 3 here. I think you've got Mount Rushmore of current NFL quarterbacks for sure in Mahomes and Burrow, and for sure future Hall of Famers, I think. Yep. And then you've got the next tier of Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert are excellent. Let's see if there's another level there. But it feels to me like Jalen Hurts is being helped a lot by a great offensive scheme, and Justin Herbert is being held back by lack of offensive creativity and scheme.
Until now, maybe.
In San Diego or LA or whatever. So we'll see. Yeah, this year might
guy.
be different.
And I like him a lot. And I know someone made the case that you're talking about from Chicago radio of Justin Fields, breaking out of an MVP conversation. Well, Was anyone saying Jalen Hurts this time last year was going to be in the MVP conversation for 2022? I don't think we were. I think people liked him a lot more than Justin Fields, probably, even though he wasn't a first-round pick like Fields.
Mm-hmm.
But he took a significant step forward in his third season, too, with the Eagles. So, yeah, I would put even like Hurts and Herbert in the MVP conversation tier, right? Like they are MVP candidates when they are playing up to their best.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is that of the 4 quarterbacks, the top 4 I just gave you, the Vikings are going to have played 3 of them by week 5, through week 5.
How about that?
So again, this is all about the start.
I have a nugget on that
about the
later.
Start.
But we'll keep going on your rankings here. So, all right, we're through 4 here. Judd's ranking for the audience spilling in here. The opposing quarterback rankings were 1 through Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. Now we're at number 5.
Number 5 is a guy that I expect to bounce back. We touched on this briefly last night, but at number 5, I am going to put Russell Wilson.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
Sean Payton. He's coming off a very disappointing year, but has Russ gone from cooking to being cooked? I don't think we can definitively say yes. Sean Payton, I'm just going to remind you, because I think he is seen as a despicable character in these parts, probably rightfully so. Bountygate, the skull chant that he started before getting his comeuppance in 2017 in the playoff game. But, Drew Brees is fantastic, or was, okay? But Sean Payton largely made Drew Brees into who he was.
Yeah.
Like he played. Drew Brees was a really good quarterback when he joined the Saints from the Chargers. But if you guys recall, the decision on that whole thing was Culpepper and Brees. And Brees could have gone to the Dolphins. They ended up with Dante. I don't know that Drew Brees goes on to have the career that Drew Brees does if he does not wind up with the Saints and Sean Payton. So I am putting Russell Wilson 5 because I think that there is a fighting chance that he comes back and has a really good season. And so I'm going to sort of weigh what was with Russ with what I think still could be. And I'm going to, probably controversial, ladies and gentlemen, put him number 5 on this list.
I think I agree with your logic. I think I still disagree with him being this high on the list. But sure. Yeah, God, people overreact so much in the NFL because it's just there's things happen in 17 game samples instead of like 100 game samples. So if a guy has a bad year, we don't just chalk it up to, well, that was a weird year for whatever reason. He's cooked, right? I think there's a lot of evidence that you just laid out to suggest that he's not cooked. Maybe he's not the same guy he was 5 years ago. But is he one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL? I mean, Nate Hackett was one of the most disorganized over his head coaches in recent NFL history, and now you're going to the exact opposite of that. So I do think Russell Wilson's going to bounce back. I don't know that I'd have him ranked 5, but curious to see the rest of your rankings here.
Number 6, probably also somewhat controversial. I don't expect him to be an MVP, but I do think that he is going to turn into a very solid QB with upside still, Justin Fields.
Wow.
I'm putting Justin Fields number 6. I'm putting Justin Fields number 6. But what you're going to hear here is this list starts to go into a lot of names that we know that I don't think have much upside left. And so this list is going to go to a litany of veteran, well-known QBs, but certainly not stars now.
Well, there's one name in particular that's already just absurdly snubbed, but I understand why you're doing it because everyone thinks that this guy's garbage, and we'll get to it. I would say about Justin Fields, he's been asked to do very little in the passing game through his first 2 years. Now, he ran for 1,000 yards and averaged, he led the NFL with 7.1 yards per carry. So he's a dangerous player because he can run for 1,000 yards and he can keep you in a game with his legs. But he has been really, really insulated and protected in the passing game. He's not a guy that can sit back there and just, all right, go throw for 300 yards and carve a team with your arm. That has not happened yet. So until and by the way, his teams are 5-20 in the games that he has started. So I still have a lot of questions about Fields and his ability to do the things a quarterback needs to do. Led the league in sacks taken last year too. So what you're doing is you're not ranking based on what they've done. You're ranking. This is a projection. You're saying he's going to take a leap. He's got better weapons now, etc. Right?
Exactly right.
DJ Moore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bold.
Number 7, I think, is the guy that you are surprised has dropped this far, and that would be the new New Orleans Saints quarterback, Derek Carr.
It's not the guy. This is bonkers, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Okay. Number 8.
Well, hold on. Let's stay on Carr for a second.
Yeah, wait a minute. I mean,
oh, sure.
Easy there.
I thought you guys were trying to get through. You guys were quiet.
No, got all. I mean, executive producer, we have space to explore here, right? We're good.
Absolutely. I want to explore the space.
Okay, this is Declan's guy here. Derek Carr is Declan's guy. But there's a reason why. Think about this for a second. It's kind of rare that a guy with his credentials and experience and passing yards and stuff hits just the available market to be traded for. But there is a reason why he was available too. And I've been a Derek Carr guy throughout my life as a football fan. I just love the moxie and the guile. He also had a year where he had like 7 fourth quarter comebacks, but he can just as easily go just blue screen of death like your computer and toss away a game. So I have no problem actually where Derek Carr is ranked. Declan might though.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the Saints roster too is more equipped to be better than the Bears. Even though the Bears are going to see them twice. So I understand Judd's thought process here too. But I think Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Justin Fields and someone who could definitely come in here and win a football game at home and kind of dagger you, because this one is at US Bank Stadium. Mm-hmm. So you could fall into a trap, if you will, at home against the Saints team that you are getting a little hotty against. So I'm a little surprised. I like Derek Carr a lot. I buy some Derek Carr stock. I think obviously his head coach, Josh McDaniels, is a buffoon. And that kind of didn't help things towards the end there. And he has done really well with other, less than extraordinary head coaches in his career. He's been able to carry his offenses and teams with not great circumstances externally around him. But I would definitely have Carr ahead of both these guys, in my opinion.
Okay.
So
all right. We said our piece.
In front of Fields and Wilson?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I have him above Fields. I agree
I can see above.
The Wilson thing, I'm gonna go with just historically, because the Wilson and Derek Carr arguments are the same. Boy, those guys were benched or were terrible last year, and their future is in question. But okay, so if I'm gonna go look at their history, I'll take Russell Wilson's history over Derek Carr's history from that perspective. Okay.
All right. So far, Mahomes, Burrows, Hurts, Herbert, Wilson, Justin Fields, Derek Carr, and number 8 is sort of Phil's guy. I feel like a guy that Phil stands up for.
This better be my guy.
More and more.
It's
Jared Goff.
Yeah, dude. What are we doing here? We're 20 minutes in, and you just mentioned Jared Goff, my guy, Jared Goff. Now,
well, he's your guy. Declan is Derek Carr's guy. You know what? That doesn't make them my guy. Jared Goff. Okay, I feel Jared Goff is that's very
defend yourself.
Fair.
Yeah, you're on trial here.
It's very, very fair.
Why?
Jared Goff has been at best solid. At worst, he regresses. And keep in mind too, he's with a team where expectations, I think, have gotten too high. There's a lot of things about Detroit as a underachiever that pops up that were a lot of fun. Oh, look at the cute Lions. Oh, this is great to see. Okay. But the expectations now are real and they're on.
And they're spectacular.
And they are spectacular. And this is a guy. Here's a guy that I am not sure. I think he can be solid. I don't know. I think we've seen the best of Goff. And I think at his best, he is solid. But with the expectations that the Detroit Lions are going to carry now, I think it's very fair to put him 8 of 14. And if I was to go back now, I'd move him up at most. And I wouldn't, but if I was forced to, like a spot. Like I might flip him in Carr.
And this is my problem with, again, I'm not actually like, I'm not going to die on the Goff hill by any means.
You go right ahead.
6. Just want to put one more thing here. So, okay, I'm just trying to confirm my So before I did my statistical analysis here while you were talking, I would have said eye test, and just off the top of my head, I feel like Jared Goff is a lot better than people give him credit for, because he was really bad for a year or two at the end of his run with the Rams. So people are thinking about Jared Goff's floor and how bad he can be, and they're equating that to him as a player. Jared Goff's ceiling is higher than Kirk Cousins' ceiling. Jared Goff's numbers and output last year were among the best in the NFL. In fact, this is where Jared Goff ranked among all quarterbacks in the NFL in 6 different categories. QBR, he was 5th. Passer rating, traditional passer rating, he was 7th. Straight up yards, he was 6th. Touchdowns, 5th. Yards per attempt, he was 6th. Expected points above average, which is an analytical measurement that a lot of teams use, EPA, he was 6th in EPA per play last year. He's literally right in there with like Josh Allen, EPA per play last year. He was better than Joe Burrow, better than Dak Prescott. But because he's had some Jared Goff moments, and because he's not the most maybe dynamic leader, he's kind of a beta personality. He is younger Kirk Cousins, basically. And I think with more upside because he's younger. He's a former number 1 overall pick. And people just kind of write him off like you just did. You put him behind Justin Fields, a broken Russell Wilson, for instance,
You know why?
and Derek Carr, who was bounced as a franchise quarterback from the Raiders last year. So I'm going to stand up for my guy, Jared Goff. He's better than people think. And Vikings fans in particular, you've been daggered by this guy. Let's stop sleeping on Jared Goff and making fun of him like the Vikings have, the second coming of Peyton Manning as their starting quarterback. The Vikings have Jared Goff as their starting quarterback.
Here's why I didn't put him higher. The Rams' struggles make no sense, and they came when there were some expectations. I think in the face, and this could be described as very Kirk-like, especially pre-O'Connell. I think in the face of expectations of, Jared Goff, let's go. He can do this. Jared Goff shrinks in the moment and in the season. Those Ram struggles make no sense. But great coach, great infrastructure, and he actually regressed there. And then he went to Detroit where it's like, okay, he's Jared Goff. He sucks. Bang, he's back.
Kind of, because if but I could play the other side of that earlier in his career. So, he has a garbage first year as a rookie under Jeff Fisher, and then Jeff Fisher gets fired. Yeah, and then, so now there's no expectations, to your point.
Yep.
His second year, Sean McVay, whoa, this guy comes out of nowhere, no expectations, and he makes the Pro Bowl. He throws for 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and they win 11 or 12 games in his first year with Sean McVay. Now there's expectations. Number 1 overall pick going into your third year. The McVay offense clicked. You got beat in the playoffs.
Yep.
They go to the next level with expectations. They go 13-3. They go to the Super Bowl. They have a lead, I think, in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And Jared Goff was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in 2018. And he followed it up again with another 4,600 yard season in 2019. So, he did falter at the end of his Rams tenure, and then they went and got Matthew Stafford. And I'm not saying he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, but I am saying that people sleep on him a little bit, and Vikings fans mock him from a point of no leverage. So let's calm down on it.
I think to say, when you said at his best, he's solid, I think that's incredibly disrespectful. At his best, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and we've seen that.
Declan and I linking arms. Although Declan's a little biased. He's a little biased. And they share a last name. They're probably fourth cousins.
I can't tell you, now that he's in the division, it really stinks. If I go out anywhere after the Vikings play the Lions and they see my last name, so you're related to Jared Goff? No, I'm not. I'm not. We're like, I think I made the assessment 2 years ago that we're both overpaid and one of us is really good at his job and one of us is not. Okay. That's still a correct assessment on both Jared Goff and Declan Goff. It could be me too. I'm not saying which one it is. I'm just saying both are overpaid.
All right.
And one of us is really good at their job. That's all.
A lot of truck driver jokes coming in the YouTube comment section about Jeff Fisher, by the way. Brandon Ledoux says Jeff Fisher is driving a semi-truck somewhere.
I believe that. I'd honestly believe that.
Didn't he coach in one of those knockoff leagues a couple of years ago?
Yes, I think he did.
Did he? He went from
like the USFL. I think he did something.
Or it might have been that. Yeah. There was
AFL.
one like 3 years back.
The
AFL,
Football Alliance
Yep.
or American
Yep.
Football
That might have been it.
No.
Yep.
or AFA,
Right.
the American Football. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I just
Who
think
knows?
he coached some slappy team in that.
Well,
All right.
We're halfway through Judd's list here, ranking the 14 opposing quarterbacks. Actually, we're more than halfway through. So let's pause to shout out our friends over at Aquaside, helping keep your lake area clean as the summer months hit.
Absolutely. It's finally lake season. I know some people actually are getting up to the lake as we speak. Maybe this weekend, a little jump start on the weekend as you get that dock in and get ready and closer to Memorial Day weekend, which is the unofficial kickoff to summer season. So when you step in that water and you start to put that dock in, or you start to enjoy yourself a little bit and you notice that nasty lake weed or algae that grew in the wintertime, well, what is that? Well, your friends at Aquaside can help you diagnose it and take care of it so you have a nice little lake, shore, or pond, whatever you're working with. At aquaside.com. Go to aquaside.com. These are safe products. They're registered with the EPA too. Go to aquaside.com to order your Aquaside pellets now.
And a thank you to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company for being a great partner of ours over the last several years here at Score North and on Purple Daily. They've also been helping business owners since 1904 with risk management, tools, and resources. They're like a great offensive line for your business, helping protect against risk on the other side of the line of scrimmage. You can find out which industries Federated specializes in at federatedinsurance.com. See if your industry matches. And you can find your local marketing representative, too, at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, let's continue here. Vikings opposing quarterbacks ranked by Judd. Number 9.
All right. So Jared Goff is 8. Number 9, and I actually dropped him because of his head coach and the infrastructure. Jimmy Garoppolo, Las Vegas Raiders. Josh McDaniels, to me, is probably a really decent coordinator with Bill Belichick as his boss. But this guy has done nothing to show me that he has the Midas touch as a coach, and he's supposed to be a quarterback guy. And the majority of quarterbacks he touches outside of the Patriots turn to garbage. Jimmy Garoppolo was and deserves credit in San Fran, not for being awesome, but for being a guy that won a lot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But by an extension, that's also Kyle Shanahan. Like, the infrastructure there was really damn good. Dare I say the culture was good. And so it's not like Garoppolo just came in arbitrarily by himself and caused that team to ascend. He was put into a situation where, to his credit, he took advantage. The Raiders don't have that. Like, there's been nothing to say. I mean, Derek Carr might have had an off season, but he was sent home. Like, that's on you. That's not on him totally. So at number 9, I am putting Jimmy Garoppolo because I expect there to be a descension from him, just given the change from the 49ers to the Raiders.
This is another guy that people make fun of, right? I hear Vikings fans again, Jimmy Garoppolo, at least we have Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Garoppolo's teams, when he starts a football game, are 40-17 in the regular season. Also, he did go 2-0 with Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator in 2016 in New England, which helped raise his profile to be traded to San Francisco in the first place. And last season, before he got injured, Garoppolo played I don't know, what did he play? 10 games. He started 10 games last year, so about 2/3 of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo ranked 4th in the NFL in yards per attempt, 3rd in the NFL in passer rating, had a 16-4 touchdown to interception ratio, and he also ranked 5th in expected points added per play, above Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, my guy, Jared Goff, and well above Kirk Cousins. So, again, he's not perfect. He definitely has short circuit moments where he throws a bad interception. He has some accuracy problems, but he's another guy like him and Jared Goff. People just link, and Cousins to some extent. People love to just they're garbage. Those guys are garbage. No, they're not.
A lot worse
than
I do. I this guy's good. I just don't think that this team. I think he's being put into one of the most questionable infrastructures team wise. I really do, and I think if Mark Davis can afford it, Josh McDaniels probably. In fact, I can eventually make this or write that down. Probably fired after 2000.
I don't know. Now that Tom Brady is about to be a minority owner of the Raiders, it sounds like Josh McDaniels might have a contract for life.
Well, or TV's coming back. Owner player. All right. Number 10 is the first guy that I think that there is a huge upside, but potentially this might be too high downside as well. I'm assuming he is going to start because I do not want to talk about Andy Dalton. I just don't. This is Bryce Young's place. First overall pick in the draft. I'm putting Bryce Young here because I think the ascension could be good. He could stink. But if I put Dalton here, he's going to probably just be last and it's boring. So I'm going to spice this up and say Bryce Young starts and I put him 10.
Yeah, I would even be tempted to move him higher just based on projection. If we're projecting here, I actually think he might be better than Justin Fields in his first year. But it's tough to say for sure. It's tough to like have that fight because he's never played an NFL game. Right. And the Panthers are, making their way through, trying to be a playoff team. So that's a game, though. We talked about it when we did the schedule. Road game, outdoors, grass. That's a 7-win team with some dangerous pieces. And no, just don't sleep on that Panthers game. It's a tough one. Thielen, revenge game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's going to be a game where he is either goes off, right? Like 8 catches, 125 yards, a couple tutties, or he's flailing his arms and screaming about how he's not getting the ball. I think that's an all or nothing game because it's going to be so highly emotionally charged for Thielen.
Yep. All right. 11.
All right. Number 11. So these last 4, boy, you could probably jumble them up. But anyway, number 11 is going to be the Vikings opening day foe at quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's now bounced from Cleveland to Carolina to the Rams to the Buccaneers. Come on down, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Your insurance endorsements are gone because you are now you're basically have fallen into the old school bin of journeyman quarterback. But Baker Mayfield, number 11.
Yeah, that's just a welcome challenge for the Vikings. Baker, at his best, is not that dangerous. Even though, didn't he say one time that he woke up feeling dangerous?
Sounds right. He
must have just been
I think he meant he had gas
thing. Yeah. So he's not a guy that, on a bad day for him, he can blow a game for you. On a great day for him, he's just along for the ride offensively. So it's more about the rest of the Buccaneers than Baker Mayfield when the Vikings play them.
I agree.
12 is probably too low. But again, I have no idea what to expect here. Number 12 is Jordan Love. I just have no clue.
Yeah,
I don't know what he can do well necessarily. Like we see these isolated highlights of when he has gotten into games in the past 2 years or so, right? And like they'll show this is a great pass, the anticipation, but it's an isolated small thing. It's like a passing thunder shower. We got no clue. So I'm putting him 12 because he could be absolutely fine. Hell, best case for the Packers and their fans, he's a star. But I struggle to think that the Packers are going for the 3rd time since 1992 hit a home run here. So I'm actually going to put him in my bottom 3rd.
Yeah, there's a couple guys on this list where you just don't really know. Justin Fields, a little bit more because you've seen him for 2 years. You know that he can run at least.
Right.
Jordan Love is pretty mobile, but we've just not seen enough. So, yeah, I have no problem putting him here. I might put him above Baker Mayfield, but I wouldn't fight you too much on this.
Yes. All right, final 2. Number 13, I'm going to assume, and I'm probably wrong here, but I was trying to go through last night and say, who starts for San Fran in that primetime game here?
Oh, man.
Brock Purdy's arm basically had to be reattached. So, like, if it's anything like pitching, I don't think he gets back by then. Trey Lance would be more fun to talk about. But as we discussed on last night's live schedule breakdown show, I haven't heard him mentioned in months. Like it comes up as, what's going to happen? Is he going to be traded? But it feels like there's no chance he starts. So number 13 on my list is Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're going to do.
It's such a weird situation. I can't imagine that they would go into this season with Sam Darnold playing a big chunk of games, but here we are. So if he does, hopefully he's still around when the Vikings meet the Niners halfway through the season.
Yeah.
But, or is it Kyle Shanahan's best painting?
Right. That's the other
that he
thing.
proves you can. This system is so great,
Yep.
and the weapons are so amazing.
Correct.
You got McCaffrey and Debo, and you got Kittle over here, and Ayuk and Juszczyk, and all these pieces. And you can just put anyone. Sam Darnold was actually sneaky competent at stretches last year when he came in. Everyone had kind of written him off, and
Right.
so we'll see. We'll see.
Sam Darnold, 358 and 4.
Oh my God!
No picks.
In one game,
Yes, exactly.
watch that
All right.
happen.
Okay, and that takes us to the last quarterback on my list. I'm going to assume he starts again. I have no clue. Atlanta Falcons game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Desmond Ridder.
Okay.
Now he might not start. Who knows? And at this point, who cares? But he's 14. So he's my last quarterback.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's a
Desmond.
highly controversial list, though.
Desmond Ridder was, I think, a 3rd round pick, but he's one of those dudes that, man, 6'4", 215. So he played. He did wind up playing 4 games last year for the Falcons. Did not throw an interception, so
Okay.
he was at least not going too crazy. Did have a game-winning drive in those 4 games, so they're interested to see more. But there
Don't
it is.
sleep on Taylor Heineke either. Taylor
Yeah,
Heineke's in
that's
that room.
another. You're right.
Don't sleep on my guy
And,
Heineke.
and by then, you know what? Dex, you might be exactly right.
Might be
He might
Heineke's
start.
time.
I have no clue.
So here they are in order. These are Judd's rankings, Judd's pecking order of the Vikings opposing quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, number 1. Joe Burrow, number 2. I think there's a tier line across those two guys, right? And then you go Jalen Hurts, number 3. Justin Herbert, number 4. I think there's another tier line there.
Agreed.
Yep.
And then 5, Russell Wilson. 6, Justin Fields. 7, Derek Carr. 8, Jared Goff. 9, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's where I think there's another tier, although the one that doesn't fit here as much as Justin Fields. But you know that those guys have all been productive to some extent in that list. That they can all ball a little bit or a lot, right? And then number 10 is Bryce Young, who I put in his own tier altogether because he could be incredible. He could be stumbling as a rookie. And then the last 4 on the list are Baker Mayfield 11, Jordan Love 12, Sam Darnold 13, and Desmond Ridder 14. So it's a pretty, there's a lot. You could make a case in your mind, well, Derek Carr is not that good, and Justin Fields and Goff and Jimmy G, but there's a lot of quarterbacks on this list. I mean, how many of these guys have been to a conference championship game, for instance, or a Super Bowl, right? Well, Mahomes, Burrow, Jalen Hurts. I don't think Herbert's made it that far. But Russell Wilson,
Jimmy G.
Jared Goff, Jimmy G. So that's sick. I mean, a 30-year schedule, these guys have at least been really deep in the playoffs or have won Super Bowls before. And some interesting young talent. Some mobile quarterbacks on this list, too, that are going to be tough to corral.
That scares me a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert can move. Russell Wilson can still move a little bit, but not as much as he used to be able to move. Bryce Young can move.
The thing that really stands out to me in going through this list and what you just talked about, Phil, which is the amount of mobile QBs you're potentially going to face, is this. Brian Asamoah. Brian Asamoah's going to have to be good.
So we know he can move.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not been the greatest, even in college. Like some of the knock on him was, can he keep up with and defend good pass catching tight ends, running backs out of the backfield? The biggest play he made last year against the Giants, right? He stripped a ball, but if you remember that play, he got beat in coverage badly and then chased down the tight end, knocked the ball out, fumble recovery. But the play started with him getting beat quite badly. So,
but can I submit this too? Potentially. Brian Asamoah against a portion of this list used as your spy on the quarterback. Speed, mirror the speed.
Or would Lewis Cine be a spy in a single high safety look? Lewis Cine comes down into the box as a spy.
Seek and missile.
I thought of that. Brian Asamoah is the spy. Cine is the coverage guy.
Wow, look at this.
You see that? Because like if you are no, but like Cine against
and Bill
a
Nye is
tight
the
end,
science guy.
Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Bill. Great show.
if you think about this, if you put Scene on a tight end, that might be a perfect matchup.
I love where you're going here, Zolgad.
Look at you, Zolgad.
I love the way you're thinking right now.
George Kittles of the world.
Let's scheme it up.
Kelce's of the world.
You
Think
scheming
about
rascal.
Scene against Kelce. You know what? Jordan Hicks, see ya. You're not on the field. I'm going big dime. I'm going big dime. 3 safeties.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And Asamoah.
Yes.
So Asamoah is spying Mahomes.
Declan's so excited he just went and grabbed a football. He's now holding a football.
That's a college ball.
Yeah,
That's
this
great.
is old. This thing is. Look at the laces on this bad boy.
Oh my god.
This is from I think we got this in 2008, 9, and it survived my parents' removal and stuff. So it
kind of survived.
I don't know that it survived completely.
Yeah. And it's very it's like 60%.
Oh, I can see it's deflated.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, anyway, Tom Brady would throw for 400 yards with that football in a playoff game.
Still taking shots.
Crazy. So, all right, there it is. I have a bunch of notes too, just some fun stuff from around the league and some Viking stuff on the schedule. We can mix some of that in for our Saturday checkdown episode.
Cool.
And we still, if you're hanging out with us live here on the Purple Daily channel, we will go live in 10 minutes on the Score North channel for some Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd feedback Friday, or maybe 12 minutes. I don't know. Maybe we'll be a little fashionably late.
Typical Mackey.
But a shout out to our friends at the Meadows at Mystic. It is officially golf season here in the Twin Cities, which means book your tee times at one of the best golf courses in the upper Midwest.
Absolutely. And they got these great carts here. You had the GPS on top, so you know exactly what yard you're working with. You got the ball washer in the back, the club washers in the back. You got all the tools you need, okay, to, maybe shoot 97 like old Dex Tweets likes to do when he hits the links, okay? So all the tools are there for you at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. You can go to golfthemeadows.com to book that tee time now. You got some great sunshine in the forecast. Whether you want to get out there on the weekday or a weekend, go to golfthemeadows.com to book that tee time now.
All right. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us here on this Friday. We're going to keep these live streams going on Fridays, 10 o'clock-ish Central Time on Purple Daily's YouTube channel, 11 o'clock-ish Central Time on the Score North YouTube channel. Please click subscribe and the like button if you could. And if you're listening on demand via Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating and a positive review would go a long way to helping us grow the show here. So thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you shortly.